Today we are crocheting this here snowflake. We will first make the snowflake and then at the end also look at how to harden it. Tutorials for all these other decorations are also on my channel. I'm linking them in the description. You need a small amount of crochet cotton. I have two different kinds here. The white one is what I used for this one, and I had a hook 3mm. Now I'm going to use this just so that it shows better against the background, and a slightly smaller hook 2.5mm because the yarn is slightly finer. But get the hook that goes with your yarn, and of course the size of the snowflake depends on both the yarn and the hook. The one I'm making now will be slightly smaller because both the yarn and the hook are smaller. Let's see how we make it. To start with, have a slip knot and we chain 8. That's 8, and join it into a ring. Then we will have these groups of 3 double crochets with chaining 5 in between. First chain 3 and then 2 double crochets into the ring. I'm leaving the yarn tail inside my stitches. So that's 2 double crochets. I use American terms. Double crochet in British terms is a treble. Then chain 5. And 3 double crochets into the ring. And we repeat this until we have 6 of these. So again, chain 5 and then do a group of 3, chain 5, a group of 3, and so on until you have 6 groups. So 4 more, and I'll come back then. Here I have 6 of those groups. You may need to sort of push them to fit them all there. And then to finish off the round, chain 3, and to end in the middle here, a double crochet in the top of those chains that we started with. Looks like that there. And then we start this here round. So we have groups of these 3 double crochet that are together at the top, and then this here bit with chain and a picot. First, make a slip stitch into that there chain space, chain loop. So we'll start here, and each of these chain loops will have 2 groups of those double crochets. First chain 3 and then start a double crochet, but don't finish it. Leave it so that you have 2 loops on the hook and make another one. And now a yarn over and through all of them. And then we skip into the next one, chain 2 and 3 double crochets together in the next loop, and leave all of them half done like that. And after we have 3 of them, we have 4 loops on the hook. So and then pull through all of them. And then we'll do the first longer bit here, chain 9. 9, and then picot by going into the 4th stitch from the hook. 1, 2, 3, 4. A slip stitch and then chain 5. And after that, another group of 3 double crochets in the same loop as the previous one. And them together. So it's these things that we repeat in each of the loops, and chain 2 in between. And then we'll do the same in the next one. I'll show that one more time. So group of 3 double crochets together at the top, then chain 9 and into the 4th to make a picot, chain 5 and then in that same loop as before, 3 double crochets together. So now we have 2 of those, and then chain 2 and start the same in this one and all the other ones, and then we look at the end when we get there. Here I have done 5 of these, and this here is the last bit. That's where we started, and it needs a second one of these groups of double crochets there. So here again I chain 2 and make those double crochets here, and put them together, and then we need one more of those longer bits. And finish off with chaining 5 and then attach it to the start of the round in here where we had that group of double crochets. Now we're starting to see the shape of it, especially if you pull these sort of tight. So with snowflakes, blocking is always so important, otherwise you don't get the shape. But now it's at this stage. Then the next round is the easiest. First go into this here gap between these two where you had 2 chains, and then all you do is now chain 23 all the time like this and go into the next one and next one and next one, always chaining 23. So I'll chain 23. And then skip that where that picot is and go into this here in between those 2 groups of double crochets and a slip stitch there. And then do that again over each of those. So 6 loops altogether with chaining 23. I finished off the last loop with a slip stitch at the start of it, and now we have one more round just, and in that round we sort of reinforce these here chains and have this flower type of thing at the top. I continue directly where I am here and slip stitch into each of the chain stitches in those loops, and 12 first of them. So 12 slip stitches here, 11 and 12. And we'll make this flower type of a thing in this here stitch. First chain 4 and then go in that same stitch and go also through that first stitch that here, otherwise it will make a sort of a big hole there, and slip stitch, and then in the middle one chain 8. That's chaining 8, and again in that same part there, and then 4, and again in there somewhere. So that created this here flower type of shape. And then go back the other side, all of these stitches, there should be 11 left. So a slip stitch in each until you get to the end of that bit here. And then still go under that same loop there, sort of, so it stays sort of crisp. And then do exactly the same with all of the other ones. So just what we just did there. There. And when you have them all done, then just finish off the yarn ends. And then you need to block it before you harden it. I have already been shaping a bit, but I normally would wet it through. If it's cotton, you can wet it really through. And then also iron it a bit if you want to, although I prefer to wet it and then shape it nice. And you can use pins, but if you use pins, make sure they don't rust and ruin your snowflake. And then after you have blocked it, you can harden it. And I hardened this one using sugar, but you can also use glue, white glue, and have a little bit more glue than water and dip it in it and let it dry somewhere where it doesn't stick to it. But this one now was done with sugar. Have the same amount of sugar and water, heat them to almost boiling so the sugar melts, dip the snowflake in it and let it dry overnight. Or put it in a very cool oven, so cool that you can still put your hand in there. Make sure you don't burn it. Check out also these other holiday decorations.